Hello everyone, and welcome to Frogs, Fleas, and Painted Cubes 2.4. And our learning target today is I will learn how to correctly use expanded and factored form of quadratic equations to graph these relationships. What we're going to be working on here in 2.4 is graphing and being able to identify some of the different parts of a graph, such as x and y intercepts, minimum or maximum points, and lines of symmetry. Our aces for 2.4 are going to be 32 through 34, 36 through 40, 51 through 53, and 62 through 63. We'll begin on page 36 of your books and talking about quadratic functions and their graphs. Tells us in investigation 1 we saw that graphs of equations of the form y equals x times quantity a minus x are parabolas. And we did find that out. We found those shapes. So now we know that the graph of this equation is a parabola. We also know the expressions of x times a minus x and ax minus x squared are equivalent expressions. So if we take x times a, we get a times x, and minus x times x, or x squared. These are equivalent. We have three terms here: x-intercepts, y-intercepts, and maximum value. To identify y-intercept, we've used those before on our linear functions, and that's where the line crosses y when x is 0. And we also have x-intercepts now, and oftentimes we will have two x-intercepts, and that is the value of x when y is 0 for our equations. Maximum value: if we have a downward opening parabola, then our maximum point will be the highest point of that parabola. It will also be where we start our line of symmetry. Line of symmetry is if you find that maximum or minimum value in an upward opening parabola, which we'll see on the next page. But for our maximum value of our downward opening parabola, that will be the beginning of the line of symmetry. It will go through that point of maximum or minimum value, and it goes all the way up and all the way down. And you can find what that value is of the line of symmetry when it crosses the x-axis. What this is saying is that if we cut off 1/2 of the parabola, that we could use this line coming down and then fold a piece of paper along this line and fold it over and trace this line, and you'll wind up getting this. When you unfold the paper, you'll wind up getting this side of your parabola. All right. So again, minimum value here, that's down at the bottom on an upward opening parabola, and we discussed the line of symmetry. It asks us, does the line of symmetry divide the parabola into two identical parts? Pause the video based on my explanation and see if you can explain that back to me. With problem 2.4, it asks us to do a variety of things, and it gives us these 6 different equations. And what it says is to write an equivalent expression for y in expanded or factored form. So if it's in factored form like this, it wants us to then write it in factored or expanded form. If it's in expanded form like this, it would like us to then write it again in factored form. From there, be able to sketch a graph of the equation, label the coordinates of the x and y intercepts, label the maximum or minimum point, and draw the line of symmetry on your graph. Now you might be saying, wow, this is a little difficult to identify all those things, and I could sure use some tips on it. Well, we've been given some tips. And we'll be going over those in class. It's on the blue sheet of paper that each of your team members have in your binder that says graphing parabolas using factored and expanded form. And there are some definitions here, some hints to help you along using factored form. If a is greater than 0, it opens up. If a is less than 0, it opens down. There's a variety of these things. You can take a look at your sheet. You can pause the video and read through them. It is both for factored form and expanded form. So use this sheet to help you understand and explain how to identify x and y intercepts, line of symmetry, maximum, minimum values. So use that sheet to help you here on this 1 through 6, and then in part B, because of the experience you got on part A, it wants you without actually graphing, Describe the graph of each equation and give as many details as possible, such as, can you look at this and tell us what the y and x intercepts might be? Is it opening up? Is it opening down? Do you have any idea what the line of symmetry is? These are some things that between the cheat sheet that I just showed you and your experience with part A, you might be able to identify some parts just by looking at the equations. So that is 2.4. Again, our ACEs are 32 through 34, 36 through 40, 51 through 53, and 62 through 63. I hope you enjoy this and look forward to your comments and questions in class.